everyone, it's Rory at the Eurovision site, and of course, we're joined by Isabelle and Janek. And well, what can we say? This has got to be the sort of debrief after a whole week of chaos and a whole week of this is even before we get into San Remo, of course. This is just like this is the precursor to the whole chaotic moment. But yes, in this video we're going to be debriefing and recapping our thoughts for Benidorm Fest, which was Spain's national selection to, you know, choose the Eurovision entrant for 2023. We were really, really, really lucky that we were given the opportunity to cover it on site. And I just want to take this time to shout out Visit Benidorm and specifically Corolla for welcoming all the international press. I mean, you were amazing. Visit Benidorm has been so incredibly friendly and welcoming and like accommodating for all of us. So, I just want to take the time just to give them a shout out. They also gave us a lot of tats. So I'm going to be drinking from my Benidorm bottle that I'll be, it'll be amazing. Anyway, so yes, Benidorm Fest took place on the 31st of January, the 2nd of February, and culminated on the 4th of February. And now we have our winner, which is Blanca Paloma with Eaea. And I guess just to sort of get started, I mean, what do you think of the winner? Like, I mean, because to be honest, ahead of the contest, not many people saw this coming.
Oh, I saw this coming. I absolutely saw this coming. Like the second I heard the clip, I was like, this is the one. Absolutely. And not only did I think this is the one to win Benidorm, but I was like, this is the one to win Eurovision, or at least to give Spain their best chance of winning Eurovision. But I have to say that I'm biased because I was raised I was raised in several music styles, but flamenco was a huge part of my musical like the tapestry of my childhood musically and of my teen years. I think I'm very fortunate to have had that because I'm not Spanish. I'm French, Italian, and Persian. I just happen to have been raised by a father who was just very interested in both like a lot of Latin genres and Latin crossover genres, and also deeply, deeply passionate about flamenco. So I have had that. Around a year ago, I did a deep dive into Spain's back catalogue in Eurovision because we recorded a Spain episode for the podcast. If you haven't listened to that, it's a fun one. So I do recommend it. It's a different set of people, but I'm the continuing factor in that. And I said at the time that my like number one wish list item for Spain was to send an actual Spanish language club banger, like with a Latin influence. And that's exactly what they went and did last year, to my delight. And my number two item on the list was, they have sent flamenco before, but only twice. And the only time they've truly sent flamenco was in 1983, and it came dead last. Shout out to wait, let me get her name. Remedios. I always want to call her Remedio, and it's she's got a plural name, which is like so intriguing. Yeah, shout out to Remedios Amaya, Quien Maneja Mi Barca, which straight flamenco, sent in 1983 to Eurovision, came dead last, joint last actually, 19. Very upsetting. And then of course Bandido, which is like a disco flamenco kind of fusion in the 90s, did much better. So we're seeing sort of like, okay, maybe 1983 was a little too early, and maybe straight flamenco was a little bit too different. But those are the only times Spain has sent really anything folkloric as well. Flamenco is a folk genre, and so I wanted to see Spain send folk, whatever that looked like, and I was like, ideally flamenco. And obviously Tan Chugueras would have been a folk number, but they didn't send it. And then this year, here we go. We've got not only a flamenco number, but Eaea does so much. It's flamenco, but like with this like deep thrumming, dark electronica, which also one of my favorite things on earth. So it's like, it's kind of I keep thinking of Shum because it is Spain's Shum moment, I think. We haven't seen Spain do this kind of thing. So I'm just so excited and so pleased. It does a lot of work in terms of cultural references as well. Like the flamenco style in it is so strong and so pronounced. It's kind of like the strange dream-like side of flamenco, the side of flamenco that Spanish poet and playwright Federico Garcia Lorca was so interested in. And I'm so delighted I keep seeing Spaniards all over the socials referencing Lorca and being like, this is a Lorca piece in music and staging. The lyrically, the tears, sleep, children, the comfort of a female relative, like there's just a lot going on there that's really the moon. That lyric about wanting to be buried in the moon so that you can watch over your child. She said that it's the whole thing is an homage not only to her grandmother, but more broadly to the wisdom and love that's passed on through the generations through lullabies. And that's another thing. It's a lullaby. As it's so weird because it's very unsettling and it's very rousing because of that incredible electronic beat. But it is a lullaby, a nana, which, I mean, amusingly, nana is also the word for grandmother. It's like a word for grandmother. So it's like, and nana's lullabies are like also very tied up with flamenco. Like it's very informed. Spanish lullabies are informed by flamenco. Flamenco is informed by lullabies. So it's just, there's a lot going on. And that's before we even get to the staging, which does a lot more in terms of like the red. And she had a post-show interview on RTV's like post-show chat show after the semi-final. She this is going to sound like a lot, but she kind of like a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but she talked about how that staging where she like enters through this passage, this red passage, it sort of was like a birth. Like this is literally her words, right? So it's like, it's so like and one of the opening lines is really referencing the comfort that she like took in like the embrace of her grandmother. So it's like the blood, the red, like it's so good. There's a lot going on in there, and I am so over the moon, pun intended.
So, if you've seen the video we did on Benidorm with Isabelle and Ewan, you knew that Eaea was our choice to win the whole contest. We talked about Eaea the most from all the entries that took part that we talked about in this video. So we knew that Eaea was a potential winner. I think we were one of not many who said that Eaea is a winner because everyone was focusing on other songs. I think when the staging came, everyone suddenly saw the light of Eaea and decided to turn over to the red side, as I would say. Coming to the Benidorm, Blanca had very huge shoes to fill because she is the only returnee from last year, and Secreto de Agua is a hard song to top, and she managed to do it, which is for me insane because it's when we talk about returning artists to national finals, we are kind of seeing a pattern of them trying to copy the previous entries that made them success. There are some examples of artists in every national selection. You see that they're trying to copy a song that made them do great in the previous year for national selection. Blanca didn't do it. Blanca said, "Screw that. Let's do something else." And I am so happy she did it because I am from Poland. I am from a Slavic country. I always want folk in the Eurovision. So I am like, flamenco is just amazing. And she did a modernized version of flamenco, which apparently is called neo flamenco, which I learned on Twitter like yesterday. So yes, so it's a new genre for me because I am not as familiar with flamenco. The only flamenco artist that I would say I am familiar with is Rosalia, which does more like a popish version of flamenco. I know Isabelle is looking at me weirdly but we live in different countries. That's flamenco isn't popular here.
Oh okay, yeah, so like famously flamenco being very popular in the UK where I live.
I mean, your
I'm
roots are.
trolling now. I'm Persian. Yeah. Okay, I'm Persian. It's different. It's different for a Persian like me. I have to say it once every.
You said it 2 times already, so you reached the norm, even surpassed the normal norm. And I am very happy that Blanca is present in Spain because she is bringing something that Spain couldn't dare a few years ago because looking at the entries, they were too safe for Eurovision, and this is the biggest risk Spain could have done in a really long time. And I am happy, and I love Blanca. She's such an amazing person. She interacts with her fans as well. She calls Pichon, which is just so sweet, and overall her imaginary of the dove and the shooting, the arrow shooting is just so iconic. So I am very happy to see her in Eurovision, and yeah, good luck to her because she has also big shoes to fill because third place last year is an achievement, and I'm just gonna say that Blanca is a potential Eurovision winner because if everything clicks, it will click. Like I know a lot of people are say that the locals won't like it. I'm like, the locals love that stuff, that kind of stuff, like the dark, the folk, dark, the mischievous. I mean, it's like Incorpore Sano is a great example. Like for me, it's a greatest example. Like not even shown because I feel like Incorpore Sano is the greatest example when it comes to for me, and yeah. I am happy that she's present in Spain, and yeah, good luck. And just a fun fact: Blanca Paloma made the staging herself. She is a stage designer, so everything that she did in Benidorm, it's her own design. So it was the only person I wasn't scared of staging wise because I knew she will do it. Like last year, she had so little to do the staging, and she slayed. So I love her.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when in the winners press conference, she was asked about the staging and how did she come up with it, and she wanted to sort of have some kind of homage to her grandmother, and she said that in the sort of graphic for like the cover art for Eaea, it's the picture is of her mother, and in there she's wearing like this like flamenco dress with these threads, like with these strings, and that's where she wanted to sort of start as a moment, sort of kind of take it in then into the family aspect. So it was fantastic. So let me take you on a little story here. So we were given access to rehearsals for like ahead of the show, roughly maybe 3 or 4 hours before the show actually started. So we were able to see sort of, we got one to run through of each of the artists, and we had to basically come up with our notes then, and then sort of go on to that then for any other content that we were going to create. Going into it, no one was talking about Blanca, not one person. Everyone was talking about sort of Raki Ripper. Other people were talking about maybe Carmento might be kind of worth maybe checking out. No one was talking about Blanca. And then we saw the stage show, and it was phenomenal, honestly. Like the vocals in the rehearsals were spot on. Like the staging was amazing. Like I don't think no one out of any of the other participating like contestants got a standing ovation in the press rehearsal. No one got such a rousing response. It was basically Blanca's to lose, and then she ended up winning, so it was fantastic. This is phenomenal, I have to say. In the arena, the whole crowd was clapping the whole time. They were keeping up with the rhythms. Someone that I was speaking to at the time was sort of arguing that it could be like a polyrhythmic kind of song, but now I don't know. I'm not a musicologist on this, so that was just what they said. But it was really, really interesting to see on the stage. And again, it was very tight with the camera angles, and she hit her mark. She knew where she had to go, and like she created this world that was so intimate but also so welcoming at the same time, and that was just amazing to watch. And I was just so happy because like Eaea was one of my favorites going into Benidorm Fest. I fully thought that going into like the show, people would probably keep on with Agoné or those kind of people because maybe they might want to try and keep up the same sort of style of what they did with Chanel. But obviously, this hooked everyone. This hooked absolutely everyone. The final televote had around 33,000 votes, of which I think at least about like maybe 10,000 of which went to Blanca, which shows she basically walked the televote essentially. I am so happy that they made it through. I'm so happy that Spain is sending a risky song because they're not relying on sort of previous successful formulas for them. So it shows that they're actually ready and willing to express themselves in a way they haven't done for years, and I'm so happy about it. But of course, this wasn't just the Blanca Paloma show. We did have a number of other contestants taking part on through the semifinals and on the final. So maybe if we sort of give one or two favorites from the previous, or from the others that didn't make it, who were some of those that you decided to enjoy?
Yeah. So you mentioned Agoné. Agoné has been my number 2 the whole time. So I mean, I've been constant. I've been pretty consistent. I do also want to mention Carmento because she again was my number 3 like the whole time as well. From the reason I want to mention her is because actually it's interesting you talk about the staging. I was expecting more. This is going to sound wild. I was expecting more from Blanca Paloma, just having seen Secreto de Agua, knowing what she can do. Like I think that the staging's great, but I actually was surprised not to be more wowed by it. I was wowed by Carmento's staging. I was really like interested in how that would translate because it's a much softer, more traditional side of flamenco that Carmento brought, a kind of a more kind of traditionally folkloric side of flamenco, both in the sound and also in the themes of the song. And her staging was just a dream, and her performance was just a dream. I mean, she's a dream. Like, she just seems like such a cool lady. My heart flutters thinking about Quiero y Duelo and the staging of that. It just was so happy to see it. And the rousing response from the audience was great. It was on a par with the roar that went up when like Blanca like turned around and did her bow and arrow pose. Just chef's kiss. The support that Carmento got from the audience was beautiful. Agoné, I feel like, has been written off by a lot of people who, and I'm glad you mentioned this thing about not wanting Spain to rely on past success. There were like half a dozen reggaeton adjacent songs in the selection, and not a single one of them made it to the final. And I think that's really interesting. I was delighted to see more reggaeton because last year we only saw 2, maybe 3 kind of reggaeton adjacent things. And this year there were loads, and a lot of them were great, but none of them made it to the final. The closest we got was the like Latin urban infused like collage sound of Fusa Nocta, but not reggaeton. That was the only Latin. It was literally the only Latin infused song. Like everything else was Spanish, like very, very like Spain Spanish. It was really fascinating. Agoné did something so important to me as like a very queer, very non-conforming, very like I consider myself a radical queer, right? And the thing with Quiero Arder is that on the surface of it, it sounds like a club banger, like just any other gay club banger, but the lyrical content and also his performance, so radically queer. And listen, like we get a lot of like self-love anthems, like kind of ambiguous self-love anthems, and also some explicitly queer self-acceptance and self-love anthems at Eurovision and in the national finals, and that's great, but they're always very sanitized. And what I appreciate so much from Agoné was that he's a phenomenal vocalist and an incredible performer, but what I really appreciated was that with his staging and with the song itself, he basically didn't censor the raunchiness, right? It's a raunchy song and it's tongue-in-cheek and playful and camp, but it's literally about being perfectly happy to burn in hell, if that's how it's going to be, because actually we're not going to conform to what you want us to be. When it's very we're here, we're queer, like the message of it is really explicitly that, and I mean it's literally spelled out in the lyrics as well. So I just appreciated that so much, and I'm besotted with it. And I that was the staging that blew me away, actually. I was just like, oh, thank you. Thank you for this moment. I'm sad that it wasn't another year, because in a different year that would have been my Eurovision winner. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, a testament to Blanca Paloma's strength that like I would have been so happy for Agoné to win, but I never actually wanted him to win over Blanca.
This year, Benidorm was a lot of surprises, like some in good ways, some in unfortunately bad ways. There are some examples that I am saddened to see that didn't click live, and some that I thought will be safe qualifiers didn't qualify. Like Alfred, I was so surprised that it didn't qualify, and in my opinion, rightfully so, because I didn't like the staging at all. So that's that. I can echo Isabelle. Carmento surprised me a lot. Like it wasn't on my radar at all coming to Benidorm, and I'm happy that this click finally with me. Especially, I thought the staging was brilliant. I am so happy for Vico, because that song was amazing. And when it comes to studios, this is still my winner, but live performance, she's my second still, but studio-wise, she's still my winner. And when it comes to semi-one, there's only one performance that just blew me away. It's Megara. Arcadia was so fun, and that staging was so fun, so great. Like especially the little dance evolution part was so brilliant to like. In a lot of songs this year in Benidorm, we see so many dance breaks, and they are just like some amazing dance performances. And Megara comes, I want to do a video game dance, and she starts doing the Dance Dance Revolution. It's just like, and she qualified over all the people who had the dance breaks in their songs. So who won? Yeah, I know this will be a surprise, but Mi Familia is still my winner. Like not looking one of my winners, not looking at her vocals. I thought I really love the staging. I know the chorus was silly, but I thought it fitted the vibe of the song for me. I really loved. I just thought that I think the energy and vocal performance of the song were too big for her, or she had some vocal problems that we didn't know of. But I thought it was just too big for her, and I really hope we will see something like that again when it comes to the genre, because a lot of people want like Rosalia style songs from Spain, and I thought Fusa was very loved by the Spanish coming to the contest and during the contest, because she got one of the biggest crowd reactions during that little dance break that she was doing with the dancers, and I thought I loved the support she was getting. Yeah, I still can't. I'm not the biggest fan of Killer there. I didn't like the staging, but Agona is such an amazing vocalist that I just have to shout him out, because he was one of the best vocalists in this competition, because a lot of artists didn't do vocally well in Benidorm this year. A lot of artists didn't do vocally well, and I see the time, so I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, I have to say, Fusa was my favorite going into this, and seeing her vocals in the rehearsal very much made me very nervous that she would even make it into the final. Incredibly glad that she did, but incredibly sad that she came last. I don't think that performance was deserving of the last place, but that's just me. But anyway, she's a lovely person, and she's really down to earth as well. And I hope she comes back maybe with even more songs that are like that. I love that. Um, of course, I also really loved Carmento. She brought an energy to everywhere that was just so happy, and fans fell for it. Before in the postcards, whilst the public were watching what she was having to say, everyone on the screen, like everyone in the arena, was like, Carmento, Carmento, and she was throwing oranges at people. She was having a great time. She was just running around living her best life. So like the energy that she was bringing to a stage performance is just her in real life, and it was so happy and so joyful to see. She was so lovely. I guess also I want to shout out Megara. That was not a song that I had on my radar beforehand, and when I saw the live performance, the vocals really helped me get into that performance. And apparently, her ex-wife is one of the dancers. So that was the one who she made out with. Apparently, that's what I've heard. So
that was such a strong moment. Like that dancer, ooh, her stage presence, ooh, that was so great.
It was good.
Ex-wife.
Yeah, but apparently they're besties now, so I don't know. If it works, it works. But yeah, so that was like a really good staging for me, and I really enjoyed watching that. And I guess not to sound like a bit like a broken record, but I mean, I've not heard a song played as much as I have in the space of a week as I have with Noche Entera. The entire when I tell you, the whole week I heard Noche Entera about 4 times, like because in the club, on the buses, no matter where we were, it was everywhere. I don't know how much you would have heard on the actual studio like versions of these of the performances, but they were singing the whole time. The whole place was up, jumping everywhere. Like the press was everywhere. So they were my favorite.
We could hear it.
Yeah, it was.
We could hear it from the UK.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But yeah, so they were my faves. And yeah, and I guess just as a very quick, short thing because we're almost running out of time. I guess, do you think that Spain has done the right thing by sending a song like Eaea to Eurovision?
Yes. Hands down, yes. I mean, I will say that anyone, and this is so rare for me to feel about a national final, any one of these 8 songs, even Mi Familia, with the like, I ended up being won round by that at the very last at the final, just because the strength of her performance was so striking. Yeah, the vocals not great, but like there's a certain point at which the performance itself, the flamenco steps, like I ended up being won over by that. Like there was a great case for any one of these 8 songs to represent Spain beautifully at Eurovision, to represent a different aspect of Spanish culture. And so like really there was no losing. But Eaea being the right choice, yes. Just hands down, yes.
Absolutely, yes. And as Isabella said, every of the 8 songs deserving representative Spain. Every single song was in a different genre. They differ so much, and they didn't cancel out at all. So yeah, and absolute banger.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, AI has already won all of the Spanish fans over already. I think it's already rocketing its way up to nearly having 1 million streams on Spotify and like streaming platforms already. And the best part of this was there was no Eurodrama, you know, like compared to last year with having Tashugueiras and then the whole Chanel, there's not been anything like that. Of course, there was the sort of story being spun between, you know, Agni versus Blanca, but you know,
That's ridiculous. I mean, way to be like digging for drama. Like everyone seemed so supportive of everybody else, and
yeah,
like, and the audience was so supportive of the artists. We could hear it. Like it was such a beautiful energy between absolutely everybody in that show. Like, come
yeah,
on now.
it was amazing, honestly, and it was so happy to see that camaraderie as well. So I'm really grateful that Spain is actually sending a risk and not relying on things that have done well, you know, and I'm really happy about that. So fingers crossed that it really pays off for them in Liverpool. We'll find out in May. So that'll be fantastic. Anyway, yes, so with that, I guess we should sort of wrap things up. So thank you so much to Isabelle and Janek for coming on to talk to us, to us, having a discussion. So yeah, please follow us on all of our social media. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Tumblr. We're on everything. It's perfect at that Eurosite. Subscribe here, hit the notification bell so you know whenever we drop new videos, and let the chaos begin, I guess. You know, we're properly in Eurovision now. I'm so happy about it. So shall we say goodbye?
Bye
Goodbye.
bye.
Bye.